In today's video, I want to talk about 7 things that may be slowing down your voiceover career growth or just stopping you from becoming the voice actor that you want to be. Hey guys, welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is DJ Dykes. I'm a professional voice actor specializing in commercial, corporate narration, promo, and trailer, and I have voiced for literally thousands of clients. I'm really happy with where my career is right now, but I started probably where a lot of you guys are starting from. Basically, no acting background, starting from zero, zero, and just relatively slowly building up my career until I reached where I am today. And I have representation all over the United States. I have a manager team that I really love, and they do great things for me. But all of this started with me trying to figure a lot of things out on my own and making not so great decisions early on in my career. So the first thing is focusing too much on your voice. I was actually emailing back and forth with somebody who is asking me to review one of their audition files and then consequently asked me to review his demo. And one thing I noticed was, besides the fact that the demo was DIY, which is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on the stage of your career, was that the reads didn't really sound different. They all sounded the same, and it sounded very announcery. But more so, it sounded like the guy was really in love with his voice. Many of us, when we hop in front of a nice microphone and we hear our voice for the first time, there's 2 reactions. One, you like, ugh, that's terrible. Is that what I sound like? It's like cringe. The second reaction is, oh, I love that. And like, and they start making all these sounds in the microphone, giving themselves an ASMR experience. Those are the 2 reactions. I want to focus on the latter, the person who falls in love with the sound of their voice. You forget that you're supposed to be acting. You forget that you're supposed to be sharing your point of view and giving a performance. And instead, you're trying to let your voice do all of the heavy lifting and do all of the work. And that includes things not only with your voice print and how your voice sounds, which, by the way, the kind of voice that you have, low, deep, high, it really doesn't matter. Gravelly, raspy, these qualities occasionally will be asked for, but it's rarely going to be the reason you get the job. Matter of fact, it's never going to be the reason you get the job unless they have no other options. And trying to use your voice only to make decisions for the way you're going to read the script is really going to hold you back, because you're not being an actor. You're not trying to tell a story. You're simply, again, just loving how your voice sounds. And that can be a pitfall that you fall into early. I admit, for the first few months, I was in love with how I sounded on the microphone. I was like, man, that sounds really good. If you have a great voice and you love your voice, awesome. I hope you do. Everybody should love their own voice. Regardless of whether you love it or not, though, don't let that be the focus of your voice acting. It's voice acting. You're using your voice to act. You're not using your voice to use your voice. The second thing, and probably the most common mistake I hear when I review people's audio, is terrible audio quality. And I'm using terrible loosely. It could be kind of bad. It could be really bad. If you're recording in a self-made booth, maybe you use like moving blankets, or you're in a walk-in closet, and you just have clothes everywhere, and you're just trying to get going. I understand, man. I started the same way. I started in a little walk-in closet, and I basically makeshifted my way into an okay-sounding booth, but I still had some noise that I would hear from outside. When trucks would drive by, I'd hear like it was like a low rumble. If my daughter was outside playing, I could easily hear her voice. You know, kids' voices are very high-pitched, so it would pierce through the doors. Sound from like the room itself. If your room is not treated well enough, you'll have most commonly a tinny sound or a boxy sound. So you might have something that sounds similar to this, and it's got this kind of sound where you just sound like you're talking from a box. You really got to treat your space, guys. It's rarely about the microphone itself when it comes to these kinds of sounds. It's never about the microphone, actually. It's always about the space. And the reason why this is important is because when casting directors have 25, 50, 100, 500 auditions in front of them, the first thing that they're going to weed you out based on, and I've heard this from multiple casting directors, the first thing that they do is a rough pass. Who has terrible audio quality? Get them out of here. They don't care how great your performance is. If they have 100 people to choose from and there's 50 people with terrible audio quality, well, you've saved them the trouble of wasting time listening to your read. Next. So you don't want to get kicked out of an audition simply because your recording space isn't up to snuff. Also, I said that the microphone is rarely the issue. There is a case where the microphone could be an issue, and that is when you have what we call self-noise. Usually it's from the microphone or from your interface. I am not the sound engineer expert here. This is based on what things I've learned, mistakes I've made. Remember that. Okay, I've made all of these mistakes. You'll have a sound, it's kind of like a tss, like a hissing sound in the background of your microphone. You're like, where the hell is that coming from? What the? And you're like looking under the chair and opening the door and staring. It's coming from the microphone most likely, especially if the microphone is on the lower end of the budget, like, less than $100, less than $200. You need to be able to get that sound out of the microphone by running some filters. And I'm not the person to really teach how to do that. I'm just raising your awareness to it. If you're having issues with the self noise from the microphone or the interface, you need to get in touch with somebody who can help you fix that, because you don't want to get kicked out the audition simply because you had less than good quality audio. Number 3, overanalyzing scripts. We're focusing on commercial and corporate narration here just for a moment. There is always a story that's being told, in whether it's a 5-minute corporate narration or a 6-second commercial. You rarely need to mark up a script. I know, if you look at YouTube videos like how to prepare for a voiceover script or whatever, they'll go through all these notes and stuff. I tried that early on, and what I found is kind of like going back to point number 1, I would find myself focusing too much on things that didn't matter, things that weren't related to acting. Give the script a once-over, like a cold read. Don't try to inflect, don't try to affect your voice in any way. Just cold read it. I don't recommend like sight reading and not saying it. I recommend just reading it, but keep it flat. And just go with a flat read. Just try to gather what is the point of the story. Okay, what is where are the turns in the story? Where is it starting with like a negative or a less than favorable thing? And then the hero is introduced, and then they're talking about the benefits of the hero, and then a call to action, which is typically how a commercial or corporate narration is structured. What I don't recommend you do is bolding and italicizing and underlining words left and right and go up here, go down there, pause here, beat there. You want to get the technique down. I get it. But you don't want to overanalyze to the point where you're forgetting to tell the story. Early on, I had a coach that would tell me to mark up my script. He would want me to print the script out. And I'm like, I don't even fucking have a printer. So I had to mark up my script on my screen here. He's like, bold this word. You want to go up here, italicize that word. Underline means this. Da 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 da. And I had ended up with a script that was so marked up. I'm like, okay, I'm not even able to focus on the story now because I'm trying to process all that information. If that's the only script of your day, maybe. But if you're a person who gets auditions all day long, you don't have time to mark up every single script. It's waste of time, it's waste of effort. Use your instincts. If you're telling a story, it's going to come out the way it's supposed to come out. And then you can always make a note or make a mental note like, yeah, I got to revise that part there. The client may tell you during a directed session how they want it to be said, but for your audition, just do you. Whatever feels natural, do that. Number 4, spending money before you need to spend money. Voiceover is kind of like a toy store or candy store. There are just too many things to spend money on. Anything from microphones to computers to interfaces to headphones, and then on to coaching and workshops and this masterclass and that. Guys, it's a lot. And I know early on you may think that you need all of these things to get going because that's what the pros do. I admit I spend a good bit of money every month on a lot of different things to run my business. But one of the mistakes I made early on was thinking that if I threw money at stuff without a clear goal in mind or a desired outcome in mind, besides, I want work. It didn't work out. I just ended up spending money I didn't need to spend. I want to give you this to think about. You are trying to become a voice actor. And in order to be an actor, you need to know how to act. Shouldn't you spend money on things that help you improve your acting? Or spend your time, which is also money, spend your time on things that improve your acting? Doesn't that make more sense? Too many people get stuck on microphones. Too many people get stuck on interfaces and headphones. Too many people get stuck on conferences. Too many people get stuck on direct marketing or demos. To be honest with you, looking back on it and knowing what I know now, being at the stage in my career that I'm at right now, I wouldn't spend any money, to be honest with you, for the first 4 to 6 months. It's not necessary. There's so much free information, not only on my channel. I think I have some pretty good information on my channel, but not only on my channel, just in general. There's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of YouTube content, there's a lot of articles, there's just a lot. And if you're looking at spending money on anything, I would probably spend money on things that will allow me to practice on my own. But to be honest with you, you don't even know where your path is going to take you. You don't know if success lies ahead for you, whatever your definition of that is, or if you're not going to reach that point due to lack of skill, lack of talent, or life things happen. Things happen in life. So don't go all in with your money. Don't blow your savings or your nest egg on this dream, because until it starts making money regularly for you, that's what it is. It's a dream. Number 5, choosing a coach that isn't a fit for you. And this is not where I pitch you on coaching services, but this is a real thing. There are a lot of coaches, more than a lot. There's a plethora of coaches to choose from in this industry for every genre of voiceover. You have to be careful when you choose a coach. You need to make sure that the coach is a good fit for you. Some of my early coaches, I just kind of went with what was easily found online or what I saw people chirping about on social media. And I just took that as, okay, social proof. I'm going to go ahead and book this person because obviously there's something there. But what ended up happening was I didn't feel like I got value for my money. In the sessions, I might feel like I was making some progress, but as soon as I left the session, I didn't really know what to do with anything that I learned. That was one thing that I didn't like. The second thing I didn't like was some of the coaches they try to make you into mini versions of them. And so what has worked for them, the way they read a script, for example, the way they hit words or intonate words or affect their voice, they'll teach that to you because that's what found them success. The problem is, if that's not natural to you, it can actually end up breaking your reads. And that's what happened to me. I ended up losing my ability to be me in my reads because I was so focused on trying to sound like that particular coach wanted me to sound. I believe that a good voiceover coach's job is to guide you on that journey of self-discovery. It should never be about, hey, you need to do this. You are saying that word wrong, or you are intonating that sentence wrong, or there are exceptions. Sometimes when, for example, like promo, there's a certain way you need to read scripts. There's a certain way that the story has to be told. Same thing in like trailer. But with commercial, especially in 2025, the doors are wide open. You can do whatever you want to in commercial. If it's genuinely, authentically you, and it's relatable and believable and grounded in reality, then it works. When you choose a coach, don't be afraid to coach hop. You can coach hop around till you find one, and you'll know if it's a good fit for you because it'll just feel right. It's like, it's like putting on shoes that just fit nicely. It's a good fit for you. And once you find a coach that works, don't go looking for another coach. Like, stay with that coach until you have progressed as far as you can with that coach. Coaching is something you really need to do your homework on and follow your gut. All right. At the end of the day, if your gut tells you this isn't a good fit, then maybe consider finding somebody else to coach with because there are so many coaches out there. Number 6, waiting and waiting and waiting for the quote unquote right moment to become a voice actor or to start reading scripts or to do an audition. I was talking to one of the students of mine earlier this morning, as a matter of fact, and he was telling me that, it's been about a year for him in this industry, that, he's kind of testing the waters and seeing where he can be, but he's giving himself kind of a runway to work with. And I think that's a great idea. Many people don't even do that though. Many people won't set the runway, or they'll set an unrealistic runway. Like, I gotta book a job in a month. Not having a runway or having an unrealistic runway, or waiting for you to have 100 coaching sessions, or waiting for your demo, or waiting for something in order to get started. That's a mistake. Don't wait for something just to get started. Just get started. When my wife and I decided to go all in voiceover, I had been dabbling in it for about, September, October, November, December, about 4 months. I was dabbling in it. And in those 4 months, I think I earned $3,200, I think it was. Yeah, about that. I earned about $3,000 in 4 months, which is not a lot of money. But I did. I booked work. And I told her, I was like, I think there's something here. I think this can be a career, but I need time. And we had some savings and stuff. And after a discussion, she and I agreed that we would go ahead and give ourselves about a year to see if we could survive for a year on voiceover. If it didn't work out after a year, then we would reassess and decide what to do after that year is over. Fortunately, after a year, I ended up making $30,000 in my first real year. I made about $30,000. And my expenses were about half of that because I spent money on things I didn't need to spend money on, as I've mentioned earlier in the video. But giving myself that runway, it lit a fire under my ass because I knew I had to show up. I have a wife, I have a daughter, I have to support my family. So there was no excuse. If I wasn't eating, sleeping, or breathing voiceover, then I wasn't doing it the right way. And I'm not saying that you have to be as Spartan or as militaristic about it, but you do need to give yourself hard goals. And you can't just wait around passively because this industry moves fast. What's hot today may not be hot tomorrow. What's not hot today could be hot tomorrow. And you don't want to miss any potential momentum that's out there for you. And number 7, I actually saved this one for last because this is the one that I believe the most. This is the game changer when it comes to being a great voice actor and to improving as fast as possible, faster than almost anybody else out there will improve. And that is to understand who you are, understand your point of view in this world. I have said it over and over and over again, and some people are probably tired of me saying it, but it bears repeating every single time I make a video, guys. Voice acting. Highlight the word acting. What is acting? According to Sanford Meisner, one of the greatest acting teachers of all time, acting is behaving absolutely truthfully. Behaving absolutely truthfully under the imaginary circumstances, under the fake situation, aka your script. Being you in the script, bringing yourself to the story. You have to be able to do these two things. And the only way you can do that, first part, is by knowing who you are. Like, what are you when you are happy? What are you when you're angry or frustrated? And it's not simply when I'm happy, I smile and I'm like, hey guys, no, it's not that. We all do things differently when we're happy. And not just happy, but what about when you're elated? Or you're feeling jolly or joyful, or you're feeling anticipating something, or, there's a whole wide range of emotions and adjectives to describe those emotions. And we behave differently under all of those. And I'd be willing to bet that every single one of you, for any adjective we threw out there for an emotion, you could probably correlate a story that goes along with that. You have to understand, you have to recall those stories, guys. Richard Boleslavsky, who is an acting teacher as well, one of the great ones, along with Stanislavski, talks about this, about recalling you at that time, recalling who you were when you got married at the wedding, recalling who you were when you first landed in boot camp training for the military. What did your face look like? How did you feel? We haven't thought about a lot of these things for years, some of us more than others. But you have to recall those stories in order to understand, this is who I am. I'm this kind of person. When I get frustrated and angry, I act differently from you. I don't know who you are watching this, but I'd be willing to bet our anger looks different. I'd be willing to bet that our satisfaction, our gratitude, it looks different. We communicate that differently, both physically, physical is important, and vocally, and just in general, the way we tell the story. And if you can do that, if you can find out who you are under these real situations that happened in your life and bring it to the script, the imaginary circumstance, right? The script is imaginary. It's somebody else's words. If you can figure out how to put those two together, welcome to being a great voice actor. Welcome to being one of the best, because most voice actors can't do this. They can't. And for all of the technical, hit this word, go up on that word, go up on the word, go down on this word, bold that word, italic, all that bullshit that they taught me early on. If I'd have started with this one point, putting those two together, I think I'd have been, I'm happy where I am in my career. I mean, I think I'm near the top, but I probably could have been at the top sooner. You know what I'm saying? Instead of wasting my time with stuff that it does not matter. One more thing to drive that point home. If you go back and watch this whole video and all of the things that I said, there were times where I bolded words, that's bolding, right? There were times I bolded words by emphasizing them. There were times where I wanted to underline stuff by focusing on the word. You do this naturally when you're talking and being yourself. You mark up your script of your speech by being you. And if you can learn how to do that with somebody else's words, then it doesn't matter. You don't need to mark up a script. You just read it. You just do you. with the script. And when you submit that audition, whether they book you on that job, they shortlist you on that job, or they don't even give you a call back on that job, at the end of the day, if you listen to it and you say, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like me. Or you let your spouse listen to it and they're like, yeah, that sounds like you. Your job is done. The job of a voice actor is not to book the job. The job of a voice actor is to audition and give your best audition and say, hey, I made this. This is my work and I offer it to you. And if they don't like it, fuck it, man, move on to the next. But you never want to offer up some fake shit and say, hey, I think this is what you wanted. Try it. No. I made this. This is me, real and raw. And if you don't like it, fuck you, okay? That's the attitude you need to carry when it comes to reading your audition scripts. And if you do that, the bookings will come. They came for me. They come for all of my colleagues that are also successful because we understand it. We understand how it works. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments down below and consider subscribing to the channel if you found value in this. And I'll see you again in the next video.